So yesterday we got some news that the Packers have decided to release one of their kickers. They've released Packers kicker Jack Podlesny yesterday per Packers.com. Podlesny was a undrafted free agent out of Georgia who spent last season with the Minnesota Vikings, and then back in January, the Packers decided to bring him on they signed him to a reserve future contract. And so he has been here this entire offseason along with Anders Carlson, Packers kicker from last year, who has been very inconsistent, and as well as Greg Joseph, who the Packers brought in from the Minnesota Vikings last season. And so now the Packers, this kicker competition has gotten, we've made some progress here considering the Packers decided to move on from Podlesny, which means that they are more confident in what Anders Carlson and Greg Joseph has showed during OTAs and Packers mandatory minicamp. And so for me, looking at the Packers roster, I do think kicker is probably one of, if not the weakest position right now. Because if you look at Anders and Greg Joseph, last year Anders Carlson ranked 25th in the NFL when it came to field goal percentage, field goals made at 80.6%, and Greg Joseph came in at 27th at 80%. So even though the Packers decided to bring in Greg Joseph, who does have more experience than Anders Carlson, he's been playing in the NFL since 2018. He has a career average of 82.9% when it comes to field goals made, but he was even worse than Anders Carlson last year when it came to his overall field goals. And so that's why I'm not super confident in what the Packers have at kicker. I do think the Packers hope that Anders Carlson, especially considering they drafted him last season, they hope he can take another step coming into his second year. And Brian Gutekunst, in one of his recent press conferences, was talking about how lots of times for kickers, it can take a year or 2 years to really get going and really start to perform at a higher level. And he brought up different kickers who over time were released from one or two teams and then started having a lot of success. And so with comments like that, it sounds to me like the Packers will continue to give Anders Carlson a chance and see if he can take that next step forward coming into next season. I'm just not so sure. If we look back at his college career, he was pretty inconsistent. I know he was dealing with some injuries and things like that. But in his first season, he was very inconsistent. So right now, I really don't love what the Packers have going on at kicker. Even though I'm hopeful, I would love if Anders Carlson could come into 2024 and take that next step and be a much more consistent kicker. Because the thing was, Anders has a very big leg. We saw, we've seen in games that he can kick it like 60 yards, it seems, because of how powerful his leg is. He just has trouble. He's just pretty inaccurate. If we look at field goals from 40 to 49 yards, he went 4 of 9. And then Greg Joseph on the same kind of field goals from 40 to 49 yards went 3 for 6. So my guess is the Packers brought in Greg Joseph because they had to recognize that, there was Anders Carlson had different struggles, different inconsistencies last season. They wanted to bring someone else in to at least bring up that level of competition where if, you have a veteran kicker behind you, you're probably going to be even that more motivated to try to make things work. And so far looking at OTAs and minicamp, it seemed like Carlson and Greg Joseph have played pretty well. It didn't seem like there were any reports coming out that one guy was looking terrible. It looked like they're pretty consistent overall from the different reporters who have been, sharing different things. And so it's going to come down to training camp to see who really pushes ahead of the other one when it comes to training camp, when it comes to preseason. My guess would be that the Packers hope it's Anders Carlson because they drafted him and, you want to hit on your draft picks and not have some other guy come in a year later and replace your guy. And so it's just going to be a battle to watch, and hopefully one of them can play better than they did last season. But if you would like more Packers content, you can follow me on Twitter/X at LukeBeller3, link to the top of the description for more Packers things. And you can also turn on the post notifications so you never miss any Packers news here on this YouTube channel. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.